Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our second installment of testing the claims made by Brexiteers. Let's start with Ian Duncan Smith. Here he is.
This country is the greatest on earth.
Okay, Mr. Smith, of course, is not the only leading politician to emphasize British grandeur. The next Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, does not stay far behind. Here is Boris Johnson.
I think Britain is the most fantastic country.
Okay, in order to test the claims made by those two leading politicians concerning British superiority, I would like to include the pronouncement of an American girl whom I would like to call Kimberly. All right, here's Kimberly.
What do you think the greatest country in the world is?
America.
Somebody must be wrong. Okay, I mean, after all, Smith, Johnson, and Kimberly, I mean, it can't all be right. Yeah? Okay, there is a child, but if you consulted English romantics, for example, William Wordsworth or William Blake, I mean, they would certainly say, I mean, the kids are always right because they have a certain wisdom. But I don't want to argue along these lines. I would like to find a solution to the conundrum by proving to you that they can all be right. Let's just assume, for the time being, that Boris Johnson and Ian Duncan Smith got both their way and withdrew from Europe. And then the next logical step, of course, would be they become the 51st state of Trumparica. Okay, that would be the solution. Think about that. Everybody would be happy, and most of all, of course, Donald Trump himself, who just famously said,
the number of people that support me over there is incredible. I have never seen anything like it. It was like an outpouring of love.
Okay, there is an outpouring of love for Donald Trump, apparently, I mean, in Britain. So, yes, live up to it, okay? And embrace him. And so my suggestion is, let your love, okay, engulf Donald Trump, and do not accuse anyone, neither Johnson, Smith, or Kimberly, or Trump for that matter, of saying the thing that is not. Okay? But let us come to another Brexiteer, Daniel Hannan. Daniel Hannan, who wrote this book here, and I personally wonder how he feels. After all, concerning his last name, he must have some distant relatives in Hibernia who conduct their daily business in euros. Oh, can you still sleep, Mr. Hannan? Think about that. Interesting thought. But let me quote from this book. I mean, here on page 8, Mr. Hannan writes, let me quote, "When it comes to investments, the natural affinities between the UK and India, affinities of kinship, migration, as well as of law and language, are palpable." So what you're basically saying, Mr. Hannan, is let's supplant Europe with India because they share the culture, language, and the legal institutions with us, which we forced on them. Oh, to me, that sounds somewhat neo-colonial. It really does. As does Jeremy Paxman's recent claim when he says about French, the language is useless and their achievements are long past. I hope, Mr. Paxman, you didn't say it exactly like that, because I mean this would be grammatically wrong, of course. But what he basically means is that there is no need anymore in the world, I mean, to know any language other than English. That English is completely sufficient to conduct all business. And I mean, apart from a claim that I think it's very questionable to assign a certain value to a language just according to the numbers of its speakers. But I don't want to argue along these lines, I mean, I just want to ask myself, I mean, do you own your language? I mean, if anybody can lay claim to owning your language, it's the Americans. Or, no, even worse than that. Not even the Americans. Have you ever considered that? There are by far more non-native speakers of English than there are native speakers. I mean, it's people like us. Yeah? And have you ever heard us talk to one another in English? We mess it up completely. And this is going to go on. And I give you that. I mean, in some 10, 20 years' times, we'll set the standard so that you will have to tune down your standard in order to make yourself understood. Oh, this is going to happen. I'm sure it is. Yeah. But nevertheless, I would like to include another great author apart from Daniel Hannan into my argument here, who is William Shakespeare. Yeah? I mean, William Shakespeare, this is Hamlet, and I would like to test the claim that the French language has always been utterly useless by having Shakespeare. Shakespeare sans French. Okay, Shakespeare sans French. I mean, here we go. Let me do that. Famous monologue. To be or not to be, that is the. Whether 'tis in the mind to the slings and arrows off, or to take against a sea of, and by end them. Yeah. All right. I mean, so anyway, I mean, this was a Shakespeare sans French. And if you think that French is utterly useless, okay, but certainly your ancestors did not think along these lines. Most of all, William Shakespeare. Bye-bye.